Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has praised the U.S. President Donald Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as his country's capital. The Israeli Prime Minister says he expects Europeans to follow suit. He argues that Trump's move would contribute to peace in the Middle East. Netanyahu has been in Brussels for an informal meeting with EU foreign ministers. Most European countries have criticized Trump's decision, but the bloc is not unified on that issue.
And it's time that the Palestinians recognize the Jewish state and also recognize the fact that it has a capital. It's called Jerusalem. I believe that even though we don't have an agreement yet, this is what will happen in the future. I believe that all or most of the European countries will move their embassies to Jerusalem, recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
Let's now get you the latest on this meeting, and I'm joined live by CGTN's Kevin Osbeck. Kevin, the Israeli Prime Minister has been meeting European Union leaders. What's the latest on this?
Well, we know they're talking about a number of issues. The Prime Minister came here to talk about the security relationship between the EU and Israel, also about the economic partnership and trade, but of course with the announcement that came from the White House last week with the U.S. changing its foreign policy and viewing Jerusalem now as the capital of Israel, that kind of changed the agenda here, because this is obviously an issue that is going to be brought up by the EU foreign ministers as well as the EU top diplomat Federica Mogherini during this meeting of the foreign ministers. In fact, this morning when the High Representative Mogherini greeted the Prime Minister, she said that it's very clear what the EU stance is here, and that's that we think the only viable way there's going to be peace in the Middle East is for there to be two states, and for both the state of Israel and for the state of Palestine to have Jerusalem as their capitals.
Well, Kevin, Netanyahu has accused European Union leaders of hypocrisy and double standards on Middle East issues. How is the EU likely to respond to this, given the growing Jerusalem controversy?
Well, at times there can be some quite high tensions between Europe and Israel, and of course his comments probably won't ease any of those occasional tensions that pop up. What the Prime Minister was saying is that Europe was very quick to judge Washington's move last week, but at the same time Europe wasn't heavily criticizing rockets that were being launched from the Gaza Strip into Israel. Now, it does have to be said, though, this morning when Netanyahu and Mogherini were giving a press statement, one of the first things that the High Representative said was she condemns all attacks against Jews, including attacks against Jews that are done here in Europe. So she did make sure to stress that as well.
Right, Kevin Osbeck joining us there live from Brussels.